In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This bold statement of faith begins the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible. However, can we think of this as more than just a statement of faith? Based upon sound science and reason, can we come to a similar conclusion? In fact, we can. To do this, we will look at two laws. The first law we will look at is the conservation of mass energy. In its most basic form, this law states that the mass energy of the universe is a constant. That is, mass and energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only changed from one form to another at a ratio of E equals mc squared. Now if you think about this, it has some interesting implications for the universe. The most interesting implication relevant to this discussion is that the universe could not have created itself, as this would violate the law of conservation of mass energy. Thus, we are left with two possibilities. Either an entity outside the natural laws of the universe, a supernatural entity if you will, created the universe, or the universe has existed forever and never needed to be created. That brings us to our next important law, the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics states that in a closed system, the entropy will tend to increase. Now, entropy is a complicated concept, but it can be thought of as how close a system is to equilibrium. At equilibrium, every point in a system will have a constant temperature. The second law of thermodynamics is typically used as evidence for a heat death of the universe, where after many billions of years, every point in the universe reaches a temperature ever so slightly above absolute zero, and no life or meaningful activity will occur forevermore. However, it also indicates that the universe could not have existed forever. If it had, the universe would already have had an infinite amount of time to reach equilibrium. We are left with two possibilities. Either an outside source of energy is feeding energy to the universe and thus allowing entropy to stabilize or decrease, or the universe was created. The former violates the law of conservation of mass energy, so we are left with the conclusion that the universe was created. Other theories support this, such as the Big Bang theory, which says that the universe began in a singularity that, with a big bang, sent the universe springing into life some billions of years ago. Combining our two conclusions, we come to the final conclusion that the universe must have been created by a supernatural entity. Now, there are a couple of arguments raised against this. First, people will claim that either the law of conservation of mass energy or the second law of thermodynamics are wrong. Like all scientific theories and laws, this is always possible. But if either of these two laws were shown to be incorrect, it would be disastrous for science. Much of science, especially in physics and chemistry, depends on these two laws holding. This includes general relativity, special relativity, quantum mechanics, pretty much anything you learned in Chemistry 101 in high school or college. So this would be completely disastrous for science. The second argument commonly brought up is that even if a supernatural entity created the universe, it does not mean that the entity is sentient, or that the entity is the Christian God, or that the entity is not Zeus, etc., etc. This, of course, is entirely true. This argument is not intended to show that some specific deity created the universe, but simply that it is reasonable and scientific to believe that the universe was created by a supernatural entity of some kind. Once one makes a step from believing that there are no supernatural entities to understanding that, from all we understand of science, a supernatural entity must exist, one can approach other issues with an open mind and with critical thought rather than with irrationality. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. God bless.